Namaskar. I warmly welcome our expert, all the learners, today's teleconferencing session. This session aims to clarify key concepts, theoretical perspectives, and contemporary challenges of social stratification. What are the relevance? It is one of the important and fundamental concepts for social work learners. Social work as a practice-based profession. It has strong focus on marginalized communities. Hence, the social work learners as mainly want to work for them. So it is important to understand social stratification. Social stratification is not only academic topic. It is lived experience of individuals. How it is influence access to education, employment, resources, power, and life experiences. Therefore, it is essential for every social worker to learn and should understand clearly and critically how it exists, how it was taught, and how it can be changed. So, once we discuss all the concepts, theoretical perspectives, and changes, what are the latest changes in this topic? Before we move to theoretical perspectives and contemporary challenges, let us first we understand the foundational concept. Like, sir, welcome to this session. Sir, how we can see social stratification? What is the meaning of social stratification? Can you describe about stratification?
Thank you, Lingam, for inviting me for this wonderful discussion session. Well, dear students of social workers, it is very important to understand society to solve any social problem. I know you are involved in solving lots of social problems, directly, indirectly. Without proper understanding on society, making any endeavor will be void or null. So, today we will try to understand what is social stratification. As I said in the title, redefining the discourse. Yes. What exactly is social stratification? The word literal meaning uses some sense of division in the society. What kind of division? Socio-economic, political, whatnot. The division can be any. So, sociologists try to give a systematic understanding by seeing society. Say, for example, social stratification is a way of trying to understand how different socio-hierarchical structures are present in the society. So there are different theorists, there are different concepts that helps us to make a strong entry into society and understand this division. See, for example, if you see evolution, primitive societies are so-called egalitarian societies. True. But once hunting and gathering started, people used to have a special appreciation to the person who is better in hunting. And from that moment, that particular hunter is always seen as distinct and different. So there is a layer, there is a sense of difference started in the minds of the people with respect to that hunter. So post hunting gathering society, it so happened that there is a scenario of storing food, or to make it very clear, surplus. So with change in the production of society, there is a change in the way how structure of stratification getting involved in the society. For example, when surplus started, new form of social relations came into existence. Who is the owner of the surplus? Who will take care of the surplus? Once agriculture started, people got surplus food. Now, once agriculture started, there are some people there are some people who are working in the field. There are some people who are owning the land. Even today also, if you say any tribal societies, there is a proper hierarchical setup where some person is head of the group, the other persons are given certain responsibilities, and this particular classification is nothing but a stratification. And if you see the complex societies, similar stratification is existing. Though it may not be visible to the naked eye, there are some stratifications which are distinct, clear. So after surplus is started getting accumulated, society had became like haves and have-nots from a Marxian context. So once surplus is generated in the society, slowly and steadily barter system came into the picture, exchange system came into the picture. People started giving value to their identities, value to their symbols. So if you see the evolution, in the initial days, certain goods are exchanged. They used to have exclusive value. Certain tools of hunting were given primary importance, and it used to get exchanged at a higher value. Slowly and steadily, the exchange system, economic system established. So this is the way how society evolved slowly and steadily. Along with this evolution, there is a scenario of society that got transformed. There is a scenario of social relations that came into existence. Say, class is one form of social relation. In Indian context, if you say caste is another form of social relations, there is slave model of social relation. This way, a different kind of stratification came into the structure of the societies. This is how, Dr. Lingamji, how our society got transformed from simple society and complex societies. There is an established stratified mode owing to the nature of different societies. And there are different ways to explain that stratification. With respect to evolution, I hope that should be clear to the students of social workers how stratification concept started.
You have rightly pointed out how the social stratification was evaluated, how from the hunters and gatherer societies to surplus society, surplus. So now just I want to know, so how many types of perspectives and theories are relevant to this social stratification? Can you explain the perspectives and theories relevant to this social stratification?
Okay. Yeah. See, different thinkers have projected different ways of understanding this social stratification. So from sociological point of view, there is a perspective called functional model of social stratification, conflict model of social stratification. And these are two important pioneering perspectives which helps us to look into the society. When you see functional model of social stratification, predominantly Emile Durkheim, Kingsley Davis Moore, Talcott Person comes into the picture. They said that society is always in a stable mode. There is a need of existence of people with different, people are always with different skills. Person who is having higher skill will always take certain position, and people with lower skill will take another position. There is always some kind of inequalities existing in the system. This is how functionalist mode of, I'll show you, functionalist mode of social stratification is understood. Core ideas of stratification is it performs certain essential functions for societies. All societies need to fill important roles. For example, a soldier has to do a soldier work. A surgeon has to do works related to surgery. A judge has to deliver justice. So this way, every person has certain role. And functionalist perspective tries to say that the roles require training and skill. So society offers high rewards to those people which are high valued works. And inequality is seen as meritocratic and necessary for stability. In a way, functionalism is something which is trying to move around stability. Whereas conflict model of social stratification tries to say something like this. Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, later expanded by neo-Marxists like Eric Olin Wright, Anthony Gramsci. And they try to say that this stratification model, a conflict perspective, is nothing but economic exploitation. There is unequal control of productive resources. Society is fundamentally divided into antagonistic classes, that is bourgeois owners of factories, proletariat workers who sell labor. The ruling class maintains power through state institution. Stratification serves the interest of the powerful, never the society. This is how conflict model of social stratification goes further. And when it comes to types of stratification, we have one model called caste based stratification, which is predominantly, caste is a kind of ascriptive in Indian society. Ascriptive means by birth, if an individual is taking birth in a certain community, his identity is fixed. And in Indian society, there is a scenario of every caste is predetermined to do certain functions. In the modern era, things might be different, but ascriptive status will not change. There is another model of stratification based on class. Class is predominantly based on economic scenario or the kind of work that particular individual does, and there is a very significant option to get mobility in class model of societies. And there is another model like slave model, feudal model of class stratification, slave model of stratification. These are a bit old, but it is important for us to have an idea. Slave model is something where certain groups of people are destined to give allegiance to a kind of loyalty to work for certain lord, feudal lord. So this is how societies were present then. Now things are different. We are living in a more democratic world. That doesn't mean that stratification is disappeared. As we go on further, I'll explain you how stratification in modern society is persistent.
Dr. Perumalla, can you explain the theoretical model?
Okay.
So Davies and Moore's functional model of stratification, can you explain? And how it is relevant to, is it relevant to our context?
Okay. Dr. Lingam, you rightly pointed out very interesting dimension of social stratification. As I said earlier, there is need of some groups of individuals who should perform in certain way. David Henry Kingsley Moore tries to bring out a functional functional theoretical understanding of stratification. Here they insist, as I said in the earlier, they insist that society should have unequal structure. That alone creates a scenario of stability. Say for example, if everyone are equal, if there is an egalitarian setup, society will collapse. This is what the kind of argument that Henry Davis posed. Melvin Tumin comes to rescue and criticizes this model of functionalist perspective of stratification. He says that when inequalities exist, it creates a scenario of persistent inequalities. Next generation of individuals will not have access to required capital, for example education, for example network. This will become a biggest block for people to prosper. Inequalities will create further inequalities. Davis were criticized very severely by Melvin Tumin in this way. And if you see the other theoretical dimensions like Karl Marx and Weber and Durkheim, you get a completely different picture how they try to understand stratification. See, for example, Max Weber tries to see society in three different models: class, status, party. Here the participation of people in the society is through their skills, is through their income, is through their education. Many groups based on class, lifestyle and power, and basing on their participation in respective activity, their identity, their class, their status is established. Unequal economic chances, prestige and power are very much present, as highlighted by Weber. More flexible, people can move across dimensions. Conflict occurs, but across classes, status and power. But it actually creates a scenario of mobility, because there is some in class structure there is always a scenario where individual have chance to mobilize. And if you see, money, respect, power is equal to stratification. Money plus power plus power is equal to stratification. Change happens through shifts in class, status, or politics. This is how Max Weber tried to put stratification in place. Whereas if you see Karl Marx, his main idea is stratification is based on economics, and his way of looking at society is only class. Class is based on only money. Ownership of means of production. He tries to explain his ownership, this particular means of production. There is continuous tussle between means of production, factors, people who are part of production. That is like he gives a wonderful concept called materialistic determinism, where there is always fight between haves and have-nots. There is always fight between who owns the production and who works in the production, and this creates a kind of evolution. He comes to conclusion saying that only proletariat revolution will give solution for coming into equality. I mean, like removing all inequalities in the societies. And he explains this: money is equal to stratification is the key theme that Karl Marx tries to put forth. And this way, there are a lot many theories, not just explains in this model. For example, it's not Max Weber, it's not Karl Marx. We have Emile Durkheim, who spoke extensively on stratification. Postmodern understanding of stratification also comes into the picture. They say, for example, in postmodern understanding, there are invisible models and invisible elements which perpetuate stratification, not necessarily caste, not necessarily class. Say, for example, Manuel Castells tries to show network society. People who are having access to network, they create some kind of interesting class. And there is a continuation of access to resources to those people who have access to that particular network societies.
Okay. Can you give the dimensions, different dimensions of stratifications like caste, gender, and other?
When you meant, caste, gender, racial, ethnicity.
Race and ethnicity, like.
To put it in simple words, what is the impact of caste on stratification in society, to gender in society, and race and ethical conflict in society? So when it comes to Indian context, race and ethnicity has a kind of relatively less impact, but we do have problem with Sri Lankan scenario, where Tamil issues, the ethical issues are at cost, and not just Sri Lanka. There are across India ethical issue, racial issue is there.
It is not visible here. Compared with West and
compared to, but very significant dimension is caste. Very significant dimension is gender. Of course, gender is again a universal element present everywhere. But when it comes to India, it is present in its own way, and there is a very very detailed explanation that can be brought out how gender intersects, or the exploitation of women has an intersectionality approach. For example, by virtue of belonging to certain class, by virtue of belonging to certain caste, by virtue of belonging to certain region, there is like multiple dimensions of discrimination or exploitation that is happening with respect to gender. Whereas caste is a social reality, wonderful social reality. It so happened that post-independent, maybe then it was not taken so seriously. People thought that caste will wither away, caste will disappear. The problem is caste is part and part of Indian society. If you see what is happening now, modern model of understanding caste, you will see very interesting domain of caste trying to reinterpret and have a very strong presence in the society. For example, identity politics are increasing. Why identity politics increasing in 21st century? If you see from the dimension of social media, caste-based social accounts are increasing, and very interestingly, matrimonial sites are increasing. So let me make it clear, caste has a functional role in the society. Until and unless these functions of caste are taken by other institutions, caste cannot disappear. What are the functional roles of caste? In Indian society, marriages does not take place in the context of in the way how in Western society it happens. For example, love marriages. Love marriages are not the characteristic feature of or a significant feature of Indian societies. Marriage is a basic institution.
Yes, you are rightly said. In India, marriage is institution. So how it is also impacting present scenario. So can we relate this stratification? How it is? How we can
Yeah.
relevant this one? You said that now the matrimonial sites, the remaining what you are said, all the number are increasing. Means it is. It means the stratification is existing and it is changed the way, but it is there. Is it right?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Stratification in new ways, I should say, or I should say stratification in completely different context. As I was trying to say, the functional role of caste is so important. Individual finds some sense of comfort, some sense of belonging in his caste, and this is again a human behavior in any society. This presents, and you individual gets a sense of belonging. That is most important security that society gives. So that way caste important. And marriage, not just marriage, from birth to death there are a lot of traditions associated in respect to caste, and you cannot bring out an individual from all the functions and say that get rid of caste. And in 21st century, identity politics are increasing because there is a functional role that this caste is pushing. Take active part in politics. That active part in politics is facilitated through caste, because Indian society is a democratic society. Caste has an important role to play in political scenario. That's why everyone, or if not everyone, caste is trying to strengthen itself to take its own contribution in the political sphere. That way, caste is in a way strengthening. But definitely, if you see the traditional caste and modern caste, yeah, because of legal discourse or because of modern education, the so-called extreme discrimination that were present in the caste were severely criticized, and there is slowly disappearance of that extreme models of discriminations like untouchability, not allowing to temples. So now and then we hear the cases, but I should say it is decreasing like anything. But definitely modern model of caste practices increasing. When I am using the word modern model of caste practices increasing, one should be very vigilant to understand grouping of people in the name of caste for the new age functions, new age social functions. Caste is an important, very important grouping agent. So asking people to get rid of caste, it might be a bit difficult, though you go for intercaste marriage, but that doesn't mean that he's giving up his caste. He is always finding some sense of solidarity with his caste till his last breath. So that's the level of individuals connection that is being established to caste. And maybe there are instances where people officially or openly get rid of caste. Those people who are getting rid of the caste is something completely different. The percentage might be less. They must be outliving from that social functions that caste provides them. But India is a society where you have highest percentage of people belong to marginalized communities or other backward communities. As MN Srinivas was saying, the functions of dominant castes are being followed by these particular communities now. They're trying to evolve using this caste support.
Okay.
అప్పు ఫ్లో ఎలా ఉందో నేను చూడడం ఎక్కడ
We welcome you to join the bouquet of programs offered by the School of Humanities, the Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. The Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi is a mega university today. It was created by an Act of Parliament in 1985. It is the world's largest university with an enrollment of about 3.5 million current students and 3.2 million alumni. IGNOU has also been accorded the highest grade of academic excellence, A++, by the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, or the NAC. Now, during your time at IGNOU as a learner, we will help you complete your program of study with world-class printed materials, audio and video programs. We have more than 35,000 academic counselors who will guide you till you complete your program of study. We also provide live interaction with your teachers at the headquarters via teleconferencing mode and live interactive radio counseling besides this, supported by regular TV and radio broadcasts. The School of Humanities was created in 1988, and we welcome you warmly to join any of our programs of study. IGNOU degrees, diplomas and certificates are recognized not only in the country but are also very well received across the globe. We look forward to your journey with us, and we welcome you once again. Now we shall talk about the postgraduate diploma in American literature, and its code is PGDAML. Now, the School of Humanities also offers 6 PG diplomas in various aspects of literature. Now, the postgraduate diploma in American literature, what it does, it sensitizes learners to different genres and aspects of American literature, such as the major American novelists and their works. Then we look at the major American dramatists. We look at the specificities of American poetry. How did it start? And we bring it up to the modern period. And lastly, we also look at something which is an integral part of the curricula. It's in colleges and universities across the globe, which is literary theory and criticism. So we begin from classical times. We include romantic criticism, new criticism, feminist theories, deconstruction, and we come down to contemporary theories. The eligibility for the postgraduate diploma in American literature is a bachelor's degree or a higher degree from a recognized university. The medium of instruction is English. The duration is between 1 and 3 years. Your minimum period is 1 year, the maximum 3 years. And this program is offered in both the January and July cycles of admission. The fee is ₹7,000 plus 300 rupees for registration at the time of admission. So in this particular PG diploma, we have a compulsory component, which is MEG5, Literary Theory and Criticism, and then you choose any 3 courses. So you have a choice between MEG6, American Literature, MEG11, American Novel, MEG17, American Drama, or MEG18, American Poetry. So you choose 3 of these, and the 4th one is your MEG5, and you complete your PG diploma in American Literature. Now, if you look at your screen very quickly, that is what the syllabus is comprised of, which I already told you right in the beginning. For further details on the PG Diploma in American Literature, you can log on to www.ignou.ac.in, or you can write to the program coordinator, whose details are...
Session. In the present scenario, can you explain the implications of social stratification on Indian society? How it is impacting the Indian society?
Okay. Dr. Lingamji, this is a broader question, but I will narrow down to two important themes: how social stratification impacting Indian societies. Though we have discussed enough on caste, but there is one thing which we should discuss about social stratification and caste with respect to urban-rural divide. Yes, as you are all, as we are aware of the fact that urban and rural discourses of stratification are so important, it is evident that people residing in urban setting have access to better infrastructure that actually creates a different edge to people compared to the people who are, compared to the students or compared to the individuals who are coming from rural areas. So this particular rural urban divide, though looks diminishing, but still this is a large way to go. And in a way, I would like to say that this particular divide is actually strengthening stratification in multiple dimensions, say socio-economic, political, cultural. And there are instances which are reported in the newspaper now and then where still people are, still in the model of, non-scientific, accepting non-scientific aspects like witchcraft, where people are being beaten up. So this is something which definitely pushes our progress backsides. And other important dimension, culture. So let me make it clear. Culture is something which gets highly influenced by things, like modernization, or you say, or with your education. In the current context, as I said, like identity politics, cultural identity also increasing like anything. There is lots of work by sociologists and anthropologists going on to bring out the indigenous nature of culture that is present in different castes. And of course, that is actually piling up and adding to the caste mobilization debate again. Instead of being celebrating the indigenous knowledge or wonderful caste cultures, it is actually leading to a kind of course this is how society gets transformed. Culture as an element tries to unify society, tries to unify people, because it is also another important powerful solidifying, another important element which makes people solidify, or a kind of unseen solidarity is present in the process. I think I missed out one important aspect. Durkheim was trying to say organic solidarity, mechanical solidarity. That is something which is part and parcel of simple and complex society's theme. In complex societies, division of labor increases. When division of labor increases, more and more people enters into new professions. That also contributes to stratification. And here, Durkheim also, who is a propagator or who is a supporter of functionalist model of understanding society, tries to strengthen this particular view. And when it comes to Indian context, in a way it is more or less repeated or reflected. People are long back gave up their caste occupations. With modern education, they are entering into new streams of employment, new streams of occupation. That doesn't mean that they are giving up their caste. It only means that they are entering into new working model. New occupations are taking over place. And that again works, as Manuel Castle says, new network society is forming. That's a different theme. But definitely, caste is trying to find new identity with new occupations that are taking place. I hope...
Dr. Perumalla, can you explain the latest, whatever the contemporary aspects of social stratification?
Okay. That reminds me of recent work that is coming in newspapers. Say, for example, gig economy, digital divide, precarity. So these are new themes that are in news, that are in academic work, that are coming up, and that is showing new forms of stratification, very much visibility. Of course, there is definitely caste line in every aspect. That's a different story. But definitely, these themes are nothing but more modern forms of stratification, which evolved because of capitalism, I should say. And I don't mean I'm not against capitalism or something like that, but new production model in the society is creating new modes of stratification and gig economy, digital divide, precarity, and income inequality are new forms of trying to look at this social stratification.
Nowadays, the urbanization and modernization, the globalization, the three aspects like liberalization, privatization, and globalization, how we can say the stratification may be impacted by this modernization and urbanization. If we will take the urbanization, how it will impact on stratification?
Urbanization, globalization, liberalization are the factors technically which should create a scenario of decreasing social stratification in a way. But these are working in strengthening stratification in the society, because people who own sources of production are whoever are owning the sources of production apparently coming from upper class. It so happens that until and unless mobility is there, people can't go to new levels of classes or new economic classes. Indian society, as I said, is a typical caste-based societies. So predominantly this globalization, urbanization, and liberalization is a factor which is working in the lines of caste or working in the lines of class, where inequalities are increasing. Certain caste groups are benefiting, certain caste groups are left out in the process of development. And there are n number of examples. If you try to trace why certain caste is leading in this particular state, you can obviously see that they are part of certain business. They are part of certain entrepreneurship. You can see certain castes are left out because their caste occupation has been become irrelevant. So their earning source has been degraded.
Means here slowly the caste occupations slowly transforming
100%.
from their original, whatever their ancestors, forefathers occupation, slowly they are transforming their occupations from their owning to the another occupations or professions.
Exactly.
How we can this juncture, how we can see the social stratification? Means it is increasing or decreasing, or either how we can say stratification?
No, it might be difficult to say whether increasing or decreasing, but it is very clear stratification is continuing. For example, take the example of, Barber community. Yes, they were able to withstand colonialism, they were able to withstand globalization, they were able to withstand modernization, and they continued this particular caste occupation and ensured that there is a kind of monopoly existing. But in 21st century, now you have got modern salons who are run by definitely not those people who are coming from Barber community. So how do you understand this? The point is, the people coming from Barber community are entering into education sector. They are more aligned to enter into jobs. They want to give away their caste occupations because modernization is equally giving better opportunities. So that way, caste monopolized works are disappearing.
Slowly it is disappearing
And
from there.
It is entering into the model of corporate, or it is entering into the model of entrepreneurship. But work is not disappearing. Person who is doing the work is disappearing. And the way it is being done is disappearing. Because technology is the impetus that is actually enabling this kind of scenario.
So here digital divide. And nowadays we are calling precarity or gig economy. So how it is, how we can see all these in the lens of social stratification?
Well, digital divide is the new axis of social stratification. When I am saying digital divide is new axis of social stratification, we definitely had undergone a wonderful experience few years back, Corona. Corona had led people to shift their learning models. Person who is having handheld devices, person who is having internet connectivity was able to attend the classes. And there were n number of newspaper reports, very good research that came out. People who were not having smartphones were not able to have access to their classes. Not just classes, even participating in the modern workforce or modern production process. Individual needs a smartphone, individual needs internet connectivity. If he is not having internet connectivity, I'm sorry, he is not part of the production process and he is not going to take active role in earning. So digital divide is so much widespread. If you have access to internet with the device, then you are part of modern workforce. If you are not having these two things, you are not a part of modern workforce. This is the level of stratification. This is the level of leaving away people without required technology in the process. So you can understand how powerful the digital device. And I'm damn sure say that, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, through different ways, trying to make internet availability in the last mile connectivity level, pushing his best to do that. But let me remind you, till date also, we are living in a scenario where I'm sure even you must have experienced that we are all coming from first generation rural locations. There is no proper internet connectivity. Those miracles happened with 5G, all these things, but still, where does the 5G is at its best? In urban locations, because there is revenue, so internet service provider will provide there. In rural areas, till now fiber is going on, and as long as fiber is there, there is internet connectivity. If there is a problem, service person has to come and fix it. So it's a time-taking process. Which I meant to say that the digital infrastructure is it in various, was it maybe not nascent stage, slowly evolving. The gap, the time that required for a strong digital infrastructure is the cost that our rural fellow Indians paying for missing out in the process. But of course, government is trying its best to push internet connectivity to the best possible, but that doesn't mean that stratification is solved. There is stratification because of digital infrastructure, very, very clearly. And that's not the end of the story.
Now you have spoken about this one, digital divide. Then we can we can say gig economy in this perspective. How we can see how gig economy, how it transforms the occupation of the individuals from their old whatever the practices.
Okay, the gig economy concept works a bit differently. First and foremost, gig economy or precarity is something, the kind of employment is not secured, it is not paid on regular basis. Though some companies claim that they are being paid regularly, government is pushing people to ensure that there is some kind of job security, function security, all those things. But let me make it clear, in the gig economy, hire and fire, everyone have direct contacts. So the way they are being explained, you be part of some Swiggy, Zomato as a permanent contractor. You earn as you work. There's nothing like salary. The more deliveries you do, the better pay, the better packages. So it's not about Swiggy, Zomato or something like that. Gig economy opens a big basket of opportunities. Everyone can take active part in that. Of course, it depends on demand based model of societies. So here there is a scenario of precarity. Why I use this, this precarity thing comes now and then by a sociologist guy standing. He makes very wonderful contributions or wonderful research which says that the current gig economy or digital economy is something, it does not offer regular job. It does not offer security of job, which creates a scenario of insecurity in the minds of the people. And that is not a safe working environment for new age employees. And unfortunately, the gig economy or digital divide may people coming from marginalized sections of the society or those people who are not equipped enough are taking active part because it does not require more skill. It only requires you should have a mobile, you should have a bike, and they easily get connected to that particular entrepreneurship and they get started. So this is actually pushing a lot of people to take active part in gig economy. But long term result is something which is surprising. There is unseen stratification, there is unseen division of work that is taking place. Certain people are given certain kind of work. Certain people are not allowed to take active part in certain work, owing to their socio-economic positions. And this is nothing but a kind of digital algorithm is coming into the picture. And you are being amassed or you are being completely controlled by market forces. So who is controlling which individual? These are all certain layers which are invisible, and this layer speaks volumes about stratification that is very much reproducing in the society. Of course, to some extent this is something linked to class, but when you try to look at into the Indian scenario, there is caste dimension also present in digital divide, gig economy, digital infrastructure, especially with respect to access, especially with respect to the kind of work that is being allocated. So this gives a completely new picture of stratification or understanding of stratification that is existing in Indian society in the current context. You need completely different lenses or different perspectives, unlike functionalist conflict, but gig economy, precarity, digital divide models.
Means you can say here social stratification slowly it may be transformed whatever the changes from last, we can say if we will compare with last whatever 50 years or 100 years and now and next 50 years. So how we can see the whatever now you are speaking about algorithms. So the whatever the professions or occupations, how it may impact.
In the beginning of the class, we try to start that no society is an exception. Every society is structured. Every society has a certain layer of stratification. The utilitarian model or the egalitarian model of society is something which always remains a kind of fictitious thing, but even after 500 years or even if it is a drastic change in the society, stratification will exist in a more subtle, different way. The layers of stratification are something which we can see only when you have a systematic approach how this particular division or how this particular layer of people are working here, which particular people are owning the means of production in the new innovative technology world, say from now to 500 years after. So that gives a completely different picture, that gives completely different layer of understanding, justifying that one form or the other form of stratification is existing, which definitely can be understood by unleashing the layers that are present one after the other, which sometimes invisible, sometimes visible.
What is intersectionality and why is essential for the understanding layered inequalities in modern context, such as a gender, caste, already we have discussed.
Yes.
So how we can see relevant to this present scenario?
Yes. Intersectionality is a very interesting theoretical perspective which starts from black feminism basically. We try to understand certain inequality from different perspectives. For example, as I was saying, in the gender cannot be understood simply from a patriarchal angle. We have to locate the caste from which a particular woman is coming, region, class. These are all different identities. When we take all these identities, then try to understand the discrimination that an individual is undergoing, that model of intersection, that model of taking multiple dimensions will let you know how the discrimination is going on in that particular community, particular individual. So intersectionality is a modern perspective which can help us to unravel the discrimination that an individual is going on, okay, with multiple dimensions. That way one can understand, and intersectionality is very interesting in the sense because it has a kind of feminism took place in the feminist movements, first wave, second wave. They found that black women found that their representation is not seen, though they are also women. They have multiple discrimination taking place from the men, from their own community, from the fellow women within their own societies and fellow societies, the racial dimension. So then this particular approach became popular. Then now we are applying this particular intersectionality in different contexts. In Indian context, yes, we have to try to see the caste, region, religion, all these dimensions. Then only one can understand what kind of discrimination. It's not just only discrimination, appreciation. Positive discrimination can also be understood from the vantage point of intersectionality.
So here you have discussed the layers. So you have pointed out some in the context, whatever the Marx, Weber, or three aspects from the Weber. Can we say about Max Weber stratification model?
Max Weber stratification model.
Power
class,
based on
status,
power, class,
party.
status.
Yes. Marxian understanding is Weberian understanding is a very interesting understanding, because Weberian understanding starts from the criticism of Marx, who restricted himself to materialistic understanding. He tries to show that there is a middle class in the society, there is a status in the society which was not appreciated by Karl Marx. So until and unless you bring out the people, until and unless you try to understand society from the vantage point of their status, their party from which they are coming, you cannot pinpoint the exact locus standi of an individual. And in Western societies, individuals' identity is marked by their class, by their status, by their party. That way, individual is someone who, in class societies, as I was saying, mobility is present. Individual is someone whose mobility is there, but his stratification position can be understood from these three dimensions. So, say for example, working class. If he is a worker in certain class, his class is proletariat in certain factory, or employee in certain factory, and all the interactions take place from that particular working class only. So his stratification, he is stratified like that. And class scenario, as I was saying, this is, and his status is also is linked with the kind of work he is doing, and that status is something which gets continued to his near and dears also.
Dr. Perumalla, so far we have discussed the concepts, contemporary challenges, and theoretical perspectives, and important theories like Weber's and Marx and Davis-Moore theories relevant to social stratification. How the latest digital divide impacts the social stratification. So, as a social work students, social work bachelor students, how they can see and how they can understand. Can you give the very 2-3 important points for their understanding for this conclusion?
Well put. Yes, ultimately, for social work student, for understanding a community, for understanding an individual, for understanding advantage scenario or disadvantage scenario, there are a lot of elements that social work student should understand. Say certain community, what kind of disadvantage that particular community is going on, and how that can be addressed. And these all issues will help social work student. These all issues will help social work student to come to some understanding how better he can bring out, how better he can help the individual to solve their community problems.
Yes.
Without this, it would be very difficult.
Dr. Perumalla, you have given the very vibrant picture, visualization of social stratification. Social work students, first they should understand what is society and how they will understand how the social stratification takes place, and then who are the marginalized communities in the society. If the social work students first they must understand who are the more marginalized, and then they can give their services, whatever their role as a social worker, as a method they can use, either case work or group work or community organizations method. So here we discussed the social stratification, how social work students can understand, and then how they can use. Once they can understand, then they can work with community. So what are the inequalities, what are the issues? So once they can understand, they can work with these communities.
By having a good understanding and social stratification that particular community is going through, definitely social work student can do wonderful work in solving the social problems, whichever he is handling then and there. Thank you, Japan sir.
Thank you.